Last week I was delighted to see this headline in the Telegraph. After all, I've only been campaigning for about 15 years for exactly that. Here is a small clip from my speech I made in the House of Commons to a group of MPs, Lords and top brass police from New Scotland Yard.
Thank you for your fantastic support, and I listened with interest to your debate, the retail crime debate recently, and your reference to Mackay's Code. We've been campaigning on this for at least 10 years, one way or another, and it's fantastic to see it come to the fore. What we require here is a complete change in the public's perception of the crime of shop theft. Please note, I deliberately did not use the term shoplifting, by which the crime is commonly referred. It's my belief the term shoplifting should be expunged from the lexicon, because really it makes the crime sound like it's a lesser crime. I live in hope that one day the lexicographers of the world will announce the word has been removed from the dictionary.
So it was wonderful to know that at least the Lords present were actually listening. The British Independent Retailers Association, BIRA, are backing me in my campaign. It is, however, a little disappointing to note that the Telegraph reporters are still using the word shoplifters or shoplifting in their articles. Please stop. That having been said, the Telegraph ran this fantastic article yesterday looking at shop theft from all sorts of different angles. It's a long article, so I'll just give you a little taster of what each person said. George Bass, a security guard for 20 years, said, "Young people are stealing for amusement, for likes on social media. They'll smash open a vending machine and film themselves doing it." He also said, "Thieves these days have plenty of tactics. Many are stealing to order. We call them Amazon on 2 feet. You'll see them walking across the car park on their phone, taking requests for things to pinch." Interestingly, he also says, "When I was a child, being caught on CCTV was terrifying. Today's young people simply don't care." I think having more uniform officers or PCSOs would be a big deterrent, especially in small communities where they can talk to families and say, "Get your kid back on the straight and narrow, or he'll end up in court." Next was the big business manager, Paul Gerard, Campaigns and Public Affairs Director at the Co-op. He said, "We saw an enormous spike in shoplifting in 2023 and 24. We're seeing about 900 to 1,000 incidents a day. We're not talking about an extra sandwich tucked into the shopping basket. We've had people come in with wheelie bins and clear entire shelves. I have colleagues who've worked in retail for 20 years and never seen anything like this." He goes on to say, "The only way to tackle this problem is for the police and retail sector to work together. I believe things have improved over the last 2 years since the first ever Retail Crime Action Plan in 2023. He ends his piece, "Theft is traumatic for our staff because they take pride in their work. To see a store ransacked is hard. We've had colleagues threatened with broken bottles or baseball bats. These are people selling groceries to their communities. They shouldn't have to go to work worrying that they won't come home in one piece." Next up is a small shopkeeper, Wilfred Emmanuel Jones, owner of the Black Farmer, London, says he sees a shoplifting incident every day across our 2 farm shops. And as a small business, we are really struggling. Retail is a low-margin business. So when you lose stock to theft, it hits your profits. I've tried employing security guard, but that's £4,000 a month coming off the margin too. The big supermarkets can afford it, but if you're a small independent like me, you're stuffed. Further down the page, he also says, "If you catch a thief in the act, they often swear at you and behave aggressively. They know there's little you can do. I can't remember a time when people were this brazen. I'd like to see a system where anyone caught shoplifting with clear CCTV evidence would have to wear a tag. Every time they enter our shop, we'd be alerted and could bar them. No one is stealing because they're struggling to feed their family. That's simply not true. People who steal aren't being punished enough. Next up is Sarah, who's witnessed several shop theft incidents this year. She says, I was trying on shoes in a boutique in Marylebone last month when 3 women walked in and cleared whole tables of items into shopping bags and ran out. She continues, a male customer tried to chase them, and when he told the staff, they simply shrugged and said, yeah, it happens all the time. They said they would make a note of the time and check the CCTV, but no one seemed bothered. There was no question of calling the police. She also said, I couldn't believe how nonchalant the staff were. It made me feel like this country is becoming lawless. Why am I working hard if people can just steal what they like and get away with it? We then move on to the industry expert, Lucy Huing, the crime policy advisor for the British Retail Consortium. She says, shoplifting incidents began rising throughout the 2010s before spiking during the pandemic and have remained high. We now lose 2.2 billion in retail theft every year, with a further 1.8 billion spent by retailers on anti-crime measures. She continues, different types of retail crime occur in different parts of the country. In some areas, shoplifting is carried out by organised crime groups. They come in with weapons and head straight for the high-value goods, alcohol, cigarettes, electronics. We also see theft linked to addiction, with people taking items to sell on. Some crime is opportunistic, such as not scanning every item in a basket or passing off an expensive product as a cheaper one at self-checkouts. But that's not where the major theft is happening. We would like to see increased funding for community policing, so more officers in shops ready to support staff during incidents. Our annual survey reports that 61% of retailers said police response to retail crime was poor or very poor. We also support the government's plan to scrap the £200 threshold for low-value theft. Sadly, retail theft is often a trigger for violence against our staff. Our last annual survey recorded 2,000 incidents of violence or abuse against shop staff every single day. And finally, we get on to the shop worker, Emma from Kent, who has worked in supermarket for 15 years, said, when I first started in retail, you'd occasionally see a homeless person come in, shove a deodorant into their coat pocket or eat a sandwich in the store, and you'd feel sorry for them. Now, pretty much every day we have shoplifting incidents. She continues, I've seen well-dressed middle-class shoppers leave with entire trolley they haven't paid for, and groups who run in with what seems like a shopping list for items to steal. We do have a security guard, but they can't do much. I've never seen anyone prosecuted for shoplifting in all the years I've worked in a supermarket. We call the police, they ask if anyone has been attacked, and usually they don't come, or turn up hours later. There are a lot of measures in place, like GPS trackers on stakes and empty dummy coffee jars which we have to refill when someone wants to buy them. It works a little, but thieves just go for other items instead. I once confronted an older gentleman who I saw steal 4 packets of bacon. I said, are you going to pay for those? He looked mortified and put them down. I felt really sad. I earn £12.90 an hour, so I know what it's like to choose between heating and eating. But I'd never steal. So there we go, folks. That's what it's like for people on the front line. And don't forget, folks, it's not shoplift. It's shop theft. Or, if you prefer, just plain theft.